What is going on, guys? So today I'm doing a different type of video and I'm all on my own today. Cody's abandoned me, guys, so make sure you bash her in the comments and stuff. Alright, so I was scrolling through YouTube watching videos, as you do, because I've got nothing else to do. There's no work at the moment, right? And I stumbled across actually quite a few videos now, and I thought about it because you guys have been asking us to do some like reaction videos, right? And obviously we're very selective on the sort of stuff that, you know, that we're interested in or that we would even consider reacting to, right? So I was scrolling through, found a video from Philly in the Philippines. Philly in the Philippines? Philly in the Philippines. And it was a really interesting video actually, and one that I know if Cody was here she would also be up for reacting to it, or sort of like a reviewing it kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to review one of Philly in the Philippines' vlogs from I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and the title of the video says, warning, do not enter, no, I said that wrong. It says, warning, do not retire in the Philippines, and here's why, 2020. Now, you guys already know that that's like our end game, right? That's what we're working towards. So I thought it would be a really good idea to react to this video. I'll watch it as you guys watch it, and then I guess I'll have to put my take on each one of his points and see if they marry up and see if I agree or disagree. So let's get right into it, guys, and let's see what gets said. This is going to be interesting.
What's up, everyone? I hope everyone is doing well out there. You know what, today I'm going to talk about why you shouldn't retire here in the Philippines. You know, a lot of people put out videos, oh, why you should...
I get the feeling, guys, this is going to be kind of a, I don't want to say negative video, but it's not really, I don't think we would ever make a video why not to come to the Philippines. We always like, what's the word, where we always like look to the best of things. So we would obviously we'd always say, like, you know, this is the problems that you might have, but we wouldn't say like this is why you don't want to retire here. So
you retired a good and this and that. You know what, I'm going to talk about the reasons why you shouldn't retire here in the Philippines. I'm just going to share some of the things I've observed, some of the things people have told me, why they came here, couldn't make it here and left, or they're still just stuck here and they're miserable. But I'm going to tell you why you should not retire in the Philippines. First one, why you should retire in the Philippines. You know what, don't retire in the Philippines if you have not visited here or spent time here.
I agree. For the first point, that is very true. I don't want to comment too much on it right now, so let's just finish off. I want him to finish off what he says first.
I mean, what I mean by that is spending time here. A lot of people come over here to meet the girl of their dreams that they've met on the line. They spend 2 weeks here. They love it. You know, it's a whirlwind. You know, you're coming to the Philippines for the first time to meet the woman of your dreams. Everybody is friendly and everybody is treating you like a superstar. And then you go back to your country and you say, you know what, I love the Philippines. What happens is some guys in K1 visa their girlfriend back to the States or wherever and get married, and then they plan, you know, in a year or two, we're moving back to the Philippines. But they never really spent time here.
Alright, yeah, 100% agree. I know Cody would agree also, because the Philippines is like very different to what we're used to in the West. So you have to be like a specific type of person and have a specific type of mindset to be able to actually accept how things are and to get by, like to soldier through basically, because it's not easy. Like, you know, there's certain things, like even silly things like when we pay for the house and stuff, right? So in England you would have it, or in the West even, you have to do like direct debits and stuff like that, and as of right now we can't do that. So it's just certain things that would be simplified in the West that may not be at that stage yet in the Philippines, and it can make your experience or it can break your experience. For us, we're the sort of people where things like that don't really bother us because we know that in Asia in general, it's not going to be the same as in the West. But that's the reason why we go there. But there is also a lot of foreigners that go on holiday and they want the same lifestyle with the same comforts as their countries. So you get a lot of Brits going to America and Europe because generally the standards there are pretty much the same. So yeah, you got to have a certain type of mindset to be able to come to the Philippines, especially the Philippines as well, because you do get the brownouts. We call it power cuts here. You know, there's just obviously in the West as well. When you have power cuts, there's always backup generators and stuff like that. Probably you're not, if you're just living in like a normal house, you're probably not gonna have that in the Philippines. So when you got a power cut, you better get the candles out. You know what I'm saying?
Don't retire in the Philippines if you don't have a savings. You know, when you get here, you're going to need that money for whatever emergency might arise. What if you get sick and you got to go to the hospital? There's no credit here. There's no, all right, I'll make payments. They want payment when services are done. So if you have an emergency and you have if you don't have savings, you could be in a world of trouble. Always have savings here. You never, ever, ever know what's going to happen.
Okay, so about the savings thing, I wouldn't necessarily put that in a video with the title saying, you know, if you don't have this, then don't retire in the Philippines, because I would say that is actually a concern or a problem or an aim to have anywhere you go. So, you know, you're going to want to have, you could go to Europe and something could happen and you would still need money. So it doesn't matter where you are. I think if you're going somewhere, whether it's like just far from your own country or if you're going into a remote area, you're going to need money. That goes for any country. So I wouldn't let that worry anybody that, oh, you know, I don't have thousands in the bank, I can't go to the Philippines. That's not really how it is. I mean, you got to remember as well, by I suppose Western standards, any like medical care, anything like that, would always probably be a lot cheaper than it would be in the West. I think because obviously in England it's a unique thing in England because we have the NHS, so our healthcare is free. I know in America it's not free, Canada it's not free, I don't think. I think the UK might only be like one of a select few countries that have free healthcare. But generally speaking, when we go to the Philippines, we still have a couple of quids like in the savings just in case, because you never know what's around the corner, right? So that's like a general purpose thing. It's not like a Philippines only thing.
A know-it-all. If you're a know-it-all, don't retire in the Philippines. If you're not willing to accept things here, whether it's locally or by the government here, don't move here. You know, right now we have this chimp problem. Here in the Philippines, you are wearing a mask. I had people leave comments, look at the sheep, look at all the sheep. They're following what the government tells them. Well, here, when you move here, you don't have a choice.
So, I mean, again, this isn't like a Philippines only thing. The way I see it, and this is like, people have these opinions on any country in the world because, you know, every country in the world's got foreigners basically. So the bottom line of it is, for me, is that if you're going to a country, you respect the rules and you abide by the rules. And if you don't, then one, you're going to get kicked out, or two, you should just leave or just don't go there at all. You know, I don't personally believe in the whole face mask thing. That's just me. I'm not worried about it or anything like that. but I have respect for other people that do, and that's the difference. So people in the Philippines will probably want to wear the face mask because, you know, you're not like me. I get the free healthcare in England. You guys have to pay for it. So if I was in the Philippines and I had to pay for my own healthcare, you're probably better off wearing the face mask because, you know, it is expensive and you don't want to catch anything, right? So that's, to me, that's just common sense. If you go to a country, you respect the rules and you follow the rules and the law. Simple. That goes for every single country in the world. And if you don't follow the rules, get out. That's my opinion.
But here, this is the Philippines. This is its own government and its own world. If you're not willing to abide by the things that they ask you here, don't retire. Don't retire.
I agree.
Politics. If you're into politics, wrong place to retire and get into politics. They don't want you, and they don't want foreigners involved in politics.
This is a big thing. Alright. Now, we've done a couple videos about President Duterte, and they got massive amounts of comments on politics in the Philippines. Is like a really big, controversial subject, right? Probably, I'd say so. If you've been watching like world politics and stuff, in England we had the thing called Brexit. Brexit was absolutely huge. It was like 4 years of absolute chaos. Like every single person was into it, reading about it, listening to it. It was huge, and that's what it's like in the Philippines. Pretty much all the time. Like there are a lot of views swinging around, and from a foreigner's perspective, I would say you can have your views on certain things, but you don't necessarily have to make them public or try and like force them on anybody, because you will get bashed. Do you know what I mean? Like you do not want to upset the Filipinos on politic issues, because it's just not going to end well for you, right? And I mean, you know, Philippines is very patriotic. They either really love their president or they really dislike their president, and there is no medium. It's like one or the other. So if you say something, you're gonna, pardon my French, you're gonna piss the opposite side off, and because you're foreign as well. And I do kind of understand it. I actually do agree with it. Even if you're a foreigner in another country, then have your opinion, but don't get involved. And that is true. Like, I agree with that. So yeah, I would advise no foreigner, don't get involved in the politics. Like I said, have your views. You know, I always try and be like balanced and listen to both sides. But I never really get involved in it like that. I'll have my own opinions, and that's as far as it goes. But generally speaking, wrong country to get involved in the politics, guys. For real, you will get bashed hardcore.
And they've actually taken these people and blacklisted them out of the Philippines. Said, we don't want you here no more. We have no use for you here no more. Our business is our business. Stay out of it. So if you're into politics and you want to get into politics here in the Philippines, don't retire to the Philippines.
I mean, we did get a couple warnings from some of you guys as well, actually, saying, you know, you could be kicked out or blacklisted so you can't come back if you get too involved in politics and that. So again, don't get involved.
Patience. If you're not a patient person and you're a hothead, do not retire in the Philippines. You need patience here. I myself have learned patience here. You know, I'm a pretty laid back guy, but there were certain times I've gotten a lot better at it, where I just have to have patience. You have to have patience.
I mean, this is a big one. So I wasn't I'm probably still not a very patient person. In the Philippines, it's mad, right? So when I'm in the Philippines, I'm patient. When I'm out of the Philippines, I'm impatient. And it's just a difference in culture, I suppose. Nothing really gets done quickly in the Philippines. Like, everyone's chilled out, you know. Like, in the West, it's all rush, rush, rush. Got to get this done, got to get that done. Running around everywhere. In the Philippines, it's just like, relax, man. What's the rush? That's like the attitude. So you just it's to be fair, it's quite nice actually. Like, but I know, like, obviously if you're in a rush for something and you just want to get it done, yeah, like I suppose a lot of Asia's probably the same. Um, Pretty chilled out. I remember one time, I think I can't remember where we was now. Something told me it might have been Gimaras, and or something like that. And we were trying to get a tricycle, and we agreed with a tricycle driver or something like that. And the tricycle driver was just lying down on his tricycle, and we were standing there thinking, are we gonna go, like, or what? And he was just lying down, just kicking back. And me and Cody was looking at each other like, are we gonna go or what? And that's the attitude, like, you just gotta. It is what it is. You remember, always got to remember, you're going to their country, and that is how they do things. All right. So you can't be going there getting the ump, or cursing anybody out, because Philippines are really friendly and helpful people. But if you piss them off, they're not going to want to help you, and you're probably going to get told where to go. To be quite honest with you, you know what I mean? It's just how it is, So yeah, if you are looking to go to the Philippines for like an extended amount of time, or just to like retire or something like that, then yeah, you probably you're gonna have to either learn patience, or you're gonna have to have bundles of patience.
You can stand in line paying a bill for an hour, 2 hours sometimes. When you go to the bank, you can be there for an hour, 2 hours. You have to have patience. Patience is a key here. When driving here, you have to have patience. When dealing...
I mean, the one thing you don't have to do is worry about the patience with driving, because Filipinos drive like crazy, bro. They are crazy. It's like everyone's a boy racer in the Philippines. Everyone just be hurtling, playing chicken. Like, chicken, their favourite game over there, boy. So you ain't got to worry about having patience on the road, trust me.
You could get in a jam. And what I mean by jam, you could be hauled down to the police. You could be brought up on charges for disrespecting a Filipino in public. There is a law here that says you are not allowed to verbally disrespect a Filipino in public.
I never knew about that. I never, ever, ever, ever heard of this law before. It must be true, because he wouldn't just come out of it randomly. But to be quite honest, guys, you'll never ever get into a situation where you have to be rude to a Filipino in public. Anyway, we've been coming to the Philippines for like 4 or 5 years, and never ever, not even crossed our minds once to ever curse a Filipino. Never. Generally speaking, Filipinos always try and help you. They're always very, very polite, by the way. It's always sir or mom. Always. When, if it, like, where I'm from in the UK, I'm just a normal person, right? So you can just call me by my name. You don't have to call me sir or mom, or you can just say, mate, But it's very, 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 very big on respect in the Philippines. So you should never even come to that point of ever having to argue with anyone in public, or, do you know what I mean?
Internet, here's another one. Internet. If you require top speed Western internet, don't retire in the Philippines, guys. Don't retire.
So this is actually not true. This is not true at all. So if, like, you work online, or you got to do conference calls or anything like that, and you're worried that people, and a lot of people do actually say this as well, that the internet in the Philippines is very bad, and I'll be honest and say it's definitely not great, but it's not like, I'll give you an example, right? There's been multiple times where you'll go to a hotel and they'll have actually better internet speed than what I've got in my house. So we can upload videos in like 10 minutes. Normally, even in England, it will take me like 25 minutes, half an hour. Over there, it will take 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. I've had really fast internet. And even so, say for example, we bought a condo in Iloilo, and we've stayed in 2 hotels, I think, 2 or 3 hotels in Iloilo City, and 2 of the hotels had lightning fast internet speed. We've had lightning fast internet speed multiple times in Cebu, Manila. We actually had really fast internet speed in Zambales. There we go. I found it, guys. Found it. So in Zambales, there's not really any tourism, foreign tourism there, and there was a hotel down there right by the beach. I think a foreigner was married to a Filipina, and their internet speed was unbelievable. It was rapid, and that was in a place where it's not very touristy, right? So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of hotels around that have great internet speeds, and I'm talking speeds that are like probably going to be at least 50 megabit 50 megabyte internet speed. I've only got like 40 in my house, so you can do conference calls, you can upload speeds are crazy. Yeah, so that's not true. There is great internet speeds in the Philippines, but you might have to go to like your local hotel, a local hotel with good speed, and just do your conference stuff there. That's all. You might not necessarily have it in your place unless you want to pay for it. It's quite expensive, but you can go places and get good internet speed. 100%.
Don't retire in the Philippines if you don't like noise, smoke, animals. You might say, Philly, that's a silly reason not to retire here. Well, there are people, and I've seen it, they go ballistic. Here in the Philippines, they burn a lot of trash. They just burn it. Sometimes you get out in the province.
Yeah, guys, but you know, this is I'd say it's probably like an Asian issue. So the smoke thing, yeah, there is a lot of like, so the farmers in the rice fields and that, they always burn in the fields. I think they, once like all the rice and stuff like that's harvested, they'll just burn all the fields, and there will be smoke like crazy. When you're driving down the road, there'll be all like, you just see a big waft of smoke. We've seen it all, like it happens often. It's just the quickest way for them to get rid of all the stuff that they don't need. Just burn it. Yeah, so there'll be a lot of smoke, but I wouldn't say it's I've noticed it mainly in the evenings, where people just be burning like leaves and stuff on the side of the road and stuff like that. So that doesn't really bother me. I'll be honest. It's not like every minute of every evening. It's just now and then. Roosters. I hate roosters. I just hate roosters. But you will inevitably hear roosters in the Philippines. Every barangay, you probably hear them, man. You can't get away from them in the Philippines. As long as, you know, the only thing you can probably do is just try and not be near them, so they don't keep you up at night, because that's a pain in the ass. But yeah, generally speaking, Filipinos don't even notice the roosters anymore. It's just normal for them. So for us, even though we've been there so often, we still, well, not me, I'm not too bothered by it, but Cody, any noise, she goes crazy, absolutely crazy. She starts getting angry. She starts shouting at me about these roosters. But you know, you're in their country, and that's just how it is. So the best advice I could say is you can still come, but just make sure if you've got a hotel or you're renting an apartment or you've got a house or whatever, just make sure you're not near anyone who's got roosters, basically. Or maybe you can get some double glazing windows or something, I don't know. But there'll be ways around it. Yeah, so you can survive, definitely.
Animals, there's animals here, there's roosters everywhere.
Roosters.
Even in the cities, there's roosters. I remember one guy, I heard a story about him, and you know, the roosters were bothering him, and he kept waking up, and he didn't want, you know, and this and that. He was going on. One out told his neighbor, listen, if you don't shut your roosters up, I'm gonna kill them, and this and that. Well, you got to understand one thing here. Roosters mean a lot to these people. They're like family to some of these
Seriously,
guys.
man, they like family.
Some of these guys will feed their rooster before they'll feed their family, and that's the God honest truth. But I've seen expats go literally ballistically crazy and angry because their neighbor's rooster.
Cody's one of them people,
there was
guys.
another expat. Here's another one, and people might say, "Oh, nah, yes," but I've seen it destroy people here. If you're an alcoholic or if you're a drug addict, do not retire to the Philippines. It's easy to go deeper into the hole.
Bro, like, if you're into drugs, you do not want to be going to the Philippines. Like, there's laws where people are allowed to just shoot you, boy. If you're like, you know, you're not wanted in that country if you're into drugs. That's what I'm gonna say. The government's doing everything it can to get rid of drug users and the drug dealers. So all the drug users, they had probably still getting it as well. They're able to go into like rehab, some type of rehab. And if you don't, boy, you know, I mean, like, you don't really have an option. You have to go. Like, do you know what I mean? The drug dealers, boy, not gonna end well for you. So if you like, drinking's fine. You can drink to your eyes. I mean, Philippines got some of the best beer I've ever tasted. That Red Horse, man, that kicks hard. That will knock your head off. That is perfectly fine. If you're a drinker, perfectly fine. In fact, I'd go as further to say you'll get on absolutely magically in the Philippines, because Filipinos like to drink too. So drugs, absolute no. If you're into that, you're gonna have a little dabble of drugs when you're here, absolutely just don't do it. Drinking, fine. Yeah, so that's very reasonable. Like, you know, no foreigner should be going to the Philippines anyway if you're into drugs. Like, that is not going to benefit the country. So, you know, the country, Filipinos, the government, they don't want you there. Simple as that.
As an alcoholic, alcohol flows free here.
Alcohol flows free. Trust me.
There's nothing. Here is the number one reason not to retire to the Philippines.
Damn.
You do not have a steady income. In other words, receiving a pension, receiving something.
Okay, so that is not strictly true, guys. So, I mean, anyone can go and retire in the Philippines, right? So there's many different ways you can do this. So the common one, which is what Philly is talking about, where, you know, you just want to have, like, I don't know, your pension, or if you've got, I don't know, you've got some sort of investment where you're getting paid monthly or whatever. Yeah, sure, you can go down that route. But take, for example, us, me and Cody, we don't have any investments like that. So we don't have monthly incomes coming in. And we can still probably live in the Philippines for like 8 months a year if we wanted to. So it's important that I address this, because this is a very he's right in what he says, but only in that one instance, and there are many different instances. So for us, me and Cody come to the Philippines every year, and we're gonna start probably staying 5-6 months a year, something like that, between 4 and 6 months a year. Now, if you're up for that, you could stay even longer. So you could do like 8 months a year, and then just go back to your own country for like three months, 2 months, top yourself up with a little bit of work for 2-3 months, and then you can come back. Like, you haven't got to have an income per se, but obviously you've got to be able to fund yourself. So you might have a house, you know, you might be all set up over there, or you might have hotels or whatever. You might be able to go back to your own country, do a quick 2 months work, get enough money, and then you could live for like 5-6 months. That is entirely possible, and that's the route that we took. So we don't rely on any income. We make our income while we're in the UK, and then we go over, and you can spend that however you wish, for however long you want. So don't think that, oh, damn, I haven't got an income, I can't go. You can go. It just depends on how you want to keep yourself there, I guess. For us, it just happened to be going home to work and then coming back when we've got money. But I know that although we leave for like 7 months normally, we haven't got to. Like, there will come a time when, and to be honest, I could have probably done it already, where I'd only need to go back to the UK for like 3 months, 2.5, 3 months, and then I could stay for the rest of the year in the Philippines. So it can be done. You don't need to have property or pension, or you haven't got to wait till you retire. You can retire early as well. There's early retirement visas. So if you want to do our sort of route, you know, the YouTube, if you want to go that route, you can bring in some money, or you can teach English. Like, that's a big one in the Philippines. You can teach English. There's loads of different ways to keep yourself there. You haven't got to have that sort of income.
If you have a serious health issue, and you get that serious health issue while you're in the Philippines, and you need multiple medications every month, that savings can go down very, very, very quick. So guys, do not retire here in the Philippines if you don't have a steady income. I've seen it. I've seen guys come here,
It's a fair point.
and they get married and they might have a child, and then
But again, you're the best person to know your limits and your means. So, I think I would, like, say for us, I could go to the Philippines knowing that, if you've got enough money in the bank that you haven't got to worry, you can go. Or if you know that you've got enough money to always be able to get a flight, so that if anything did happen, you can just get a flight back. Or, it's just common sense though. I don't think that that's like anything to stop you coming to the Philippines or to retire in the Philippines. But I think that would apply if you was going to any country, for me anyway. That's what I think. Getting a bit comfortable there. So yeah, I mean, the money aspect on like income, I think it's up to the person to know. Obviously, I don't think many people would, jump to another country if you haven't got enough money to keep you there long term. I think the individual person will be the best person to know what they have in their mind to actually do. So yeah, I mean, don't retire in the Philippines if you haven't spent a lot of time there. That would go for anywhere. I think if you just randomly hop out of your country and just say, I'm just going to retire there, and then just put your finger on a place, I think you're always going to have the same problems as if it was the Philippines anyway. So that would be a really stupid thing to do. But generally speaking, I probably knew that I wanted to at some point move to the Philippines. Probably, I think maybe on my first trip. So we did like 2 months, and I think me and Cody both knew actually that we would do something to be able to, or I didn't know what, but I think we always knew that Philippines is the one for us. And then when we landed in Iloilo, that was it. Sold, signed, delivered, whatever. So yeah, I think we cleared them up pretty well. Some of the things I don't think were necessarily true, but I think I gave a good account of from our perspective, because Cody would say the same as well. So I hope that helped, and that is kind of like our first reaction type video. So I mean, if you guys like them sort of videos like what we just done, then let us know, because we can start doing them more often, because I've seen a lot of these sorts of videos where they've been talking about a specific topic, and I would like to like review it, if you like, or put my intake on it, because I don't always agree with what they say. So if you like these sorts of videos, let us know, and we can get on to doing a lot more of them, because there's always things to talk about in the Philippines. So yeah, So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it more without Cody, and we'll catch you again in the next vlog. Peace.